So you're a teacher. Your principal walks into your class and your kids are independently reading. What's the first thing that pops into your head? I swear we don't do this all day. Why are some educators unsure about independent reading? Because many of us educators these days are rightfully taught in credentialing programs that student engagement is key to student learning. And when you have a classroom full of 30 kids reading independently, it's hard to tell who's really engaged in their reading or just daydreaming. But that's not all. In 2000, the National Reading Panel published a study that many people attribute to the demise of independent reading in schools. The panel stated, with regard to the efficacy of having students engage in independent silent reading with minimal guidance or feedback, the panel was unable to find a positive relationship between programs and instruction that encourage large amounts of independent reading and improvements in reading achievement. While this report could not find a positive relationship between independent reading and student achievement, it was still inconclusive. Programs reviewed did not require supervision or feedback for reading. There were only 14 studies reviewed. However, the damage was done as well as independent reading in schools. We had in our minds that no matter how much students read independently, their reading skills would not improve. Wait, the more you do something, the better you get at it, right? Look at sports, look at music, look at anything. Malcolm Gladwell studied this. And the reading research community followed up the National Reading Panel with many studies that proved the original findings insufficient. So what does the vast majority of reading research tell us about independent reading? I'm glad you asked. Research tells us that independent reading is significantly related to reading achievement. It is clear that when students read with guidance and support from adults, they become better readers. In fact, the volume of reading, how much a student reads, is the most significant factor in reading achievement, more significant than socioeconomic background. Time and time again, research tells us that the more kids read, the better readers they become. It's clear that kids need to read more. So what's the problem then? Kids don't read. They don't read in school. According to a recent Scholastic survey, only about 1/3 of classroom teachers reported that they allocated independent reading time during the school day. Most cite the demands of the curriculum as a reason why they do not have students read independently in the classroom. They don't read at home. According to a Common Sense Media study, kids read for fun less and less as they get older. By the time they reach the end of high school, nearly half of 17-year-olds report that they read by choice only once or twice a year. And they don't read after they leave our schools. According to the National Endowment for the Arts, 33% of high school graduates never read another book during their lifetime. Let me repeat. 33% of high school graduates never read another book during their lifetime. Well, we can't force adults to read. We can make a difference in the reading lives of our students and hopefully instill the love of reading and learning that will carry them into adulthood. What can educators do? How can we build a culture of reading in our schools? When we look at the research again, we can identify 7 pillars needed to start building that reading culture. Commit, collection, choice, conversation, clock, celebration, and collaborate. We need to commit the money. How can we say classroom libraries are important if we only expect teachers to spend their personal funds on buying books for their classrooms? We need to commit the time. How can we say independent reading is a life skill, but say we don't have time for it in our schools? According to researchers, teachers need to give students a choice of what they read. Self-selected reading is twice as powerful as teacher-selected reading in developing reading engagement and comprehension. That makes sense, right? A kid who is into sports is going to devour a book about Michael Jordan. A kid who loves science is going to love to read everything about the solar system. The research based on student-selected reading is robust and conclusive. Students read more, understand more, and are more likely to continue reading when they have the opportunity to choose what they read. Teachers need to work in teams to address the needs of all students. Time needs to be spent asking the questions, what skills do kids need to be proficient readers? How do we help kids who don't have those skills yet? What do we do with the great readers who need to be engaged and challenged? Research tells us that student achievement is significantly influenced by the effectiveness of the work of these teacher teams. Collection. Access to a variety of books. Teachers also need to provide students with a wide variety of books and genres. According to Robert Marzano, a successful reading program provides a wealth of reading materials to students throughout the school. Classroom libraries are critical to student access of engaging books. Conversation and reading happens at all levels. Whole class conversations can include interactive read-alouds. Small group conversations include guided reading and reading workshop. One-on-one conversations include reading conferences with students. According to experts, teachers can use independent reading time to engage with individual students or small groups in providing critical guidance and feedback so kids become proficient and lifelong readers. Clock. According to researchers, teachers and schools need to provide students time to read during school. How are they ever going to get better at reading if we don't provide them the time to read in school? In fact, students who participate in 10 minutes of independent reading each school day will read about 600,000 words in the school year. These students usually score around the 50th percentile on standardized tests. Students who read about 20 minutes more a day read about 2.3 million words a year and score around the 90th percentile on standardized tests. Building a positive reading culture means that schools need to take time to create a learning environment that celebrates books and reading. It has to be fun. Celebrate authors and books. Celebrate when you finish a book. Make a family event about literacy an opportunity to celebrate as a community. So, is your school ready to commit to building a culture of reading? You can do it. It takes a little bit of passion and a lot of love, but in the end, you'll make a difference in the lives of kids, your community, and the world. So what are you going to do next time you walk into a classroom where all the kids are reading independently? Well, maybe you should just sit down with a book and join them in celebrating the transformative power of reading.